Lauren has never known a life without autism in it.
Jody, look, it's the Elmo book.
She was 2 months old when Jody was diagnosed.
Mommy.
And so the first 2 years of Lauren's life are a complete blur.
When Miguel came, like Anna said to me, oh great, now he has somebody to take care of him.
I see Pooh Bear's house. What do you see, Jody?
That's the life she knows.
I don't want anybody to make fun of her.
My second child now, Andrew, has to function as the big brother, and it's difficult explaining to him what's wrong with his brother.
He seems to not like you, but he really does like you somewhere in him.
See if you can hold hands with Davy and jump together.
We wish we could play with him, but we really can't play with him.
He wants to fix Christian, and he makes a big show about examining people. It's sad. I forget sometimes that he lost Christian too.
Oh, that's nice. Christian's such a good big brother.
I wish I had a sister without autism. I wish that I really could play with him so he could be my real big brother. And that's my secret wish.
They're often called autism's invisible victims, the brothers and sisters of children living with autism. That means they live with autism too. Well, now a number of sibling support groups are springing up across the country, many of them here in New York's tri-state area. Joining me now is Charley Moskowitz. She's director of the Jewish Community Center's Sib Connection and one of the real trailblazers in understanding and realizing the dynamics of this complex sibling relationship. Charley, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much.
What are the dynamics? What is it that's difficult for the layperson to understand about what these, the word is typical, they don't like to say normal, the typical sibling has to deal with having an autistic brother or sister?
Well, my mantra is, in a home where there's a child with a disability, such as autism, there's no such thing as a typical sibling. These siblings adore their brothers and sisters. They worship them, and they have compassion that is so deep, it runs deeper than any ocean I know. But they struggle with issues of isolation, despair, guilt, sadness, and most of all, responsibility.
Why? What are the mechanics of that? What is it about having a much more helpless, if not totally helpless sibling that elicits these feelings from the typical siblings?
Well, what happens with the typical sibling is they see the family as a unit. And they see the sibling with autism, and they see the parents, the mother and the father, and everybody struggling and putting their heart and soul into this sibling. They're like second-class citizens. They feel unloved. They feel they have to take on the responsibility, even if parents don't put it on them, to help their parents. And there's survivor's guilt. They feel guilty that they're not the child with the autism.
And sometimes I know you've seen this far too often, and it's one of the worst things a parent can say to a typical sibling is, just be lucky you're not like him.
Right.
Which just drives that point home even
What
further.
happens is it drives that point home so deeply, and what they do is they internalize all their negative feelings. We're in a society where we're supposed to talk about positive feelings. Well, they have a ton of negative feelings that need to be validated. And if they're not validated, what do they do with them?
What do you do in SIP support? What's your method? And we should say right off the bat that one method is no parents allowed.
No parents allowed. A confidential group. Nothing leaves the group unless you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else. So they have an atmosphere where they can talk about every negative feeling that they want, and it's accepted. What they do about it is what we help them do, so that if they're very angry, they're not going to take a pillow and put it over their sibling's face, but we're going to give them different means. We do a lot of writing, we do a lot of role playing, we made a film, and we're working on a book now.
What's the payoff, Charley, if it works? And by payoff, I mean when everyone reaches adulthood.
The payoff. I have seen kids go through my group, because I've been running it for quite a long time now, who never thought that they would leave home to go off to college because they were too responsible for their sibling. They've gone off to college, they've had a normal life, And then, if and when the time comes when they have to take responsibility for their sibling, it'll be done with love instead of resentment.
And yet that tough question is still there. What's the youngest you ever heard a sibling ask you, am I going to have to take care of him one day?
5 years old.
5?
These kids are light years beyond.
How do you begin to answer the question? I mean, how do you...
I've brought in speakers, teenagers, young adults, who have to explain to them that sometimes you end up, after you're in adulthood, taking care of your sibling. And then there's the other side of the coin. Sometimes siblings go to a group home, and then there's guilt survivor there.
Yes.
So either way, they have to deal with these feelings. And if they can do it in a group like this over many years, then they're going to end up loving their sibling.
About 20 seconds left, Charley. What do we as a society need to do more of to ease the journey of the siblings of autistic individuals?
We as a society have to start thinking of the family as a unit. It's not that we have an autistic child over here and a mother here and a father here and siblings over here. It's a whole unit. They all have feelings. They all have to be validated. But we need programs like this. And we need to spread the word about how important it is for everybody's feelings to be validated, even negative feelings.
All right, now let's get down to business. You're in Westchester. How can people, any of our viewers in New Jersey, Long Island, how can they begin to find similar sibling support efforts going on?
They can go on the internet and look up sibling support. And a lot of sibling support groups are listed on there. If they're in Westchester, they can call the JCC of Mid-Westchester, ask for Charley, and they will get in. Ask
for Charley, and you pretty much find out what you need to know. We're going to also have a list at the end of this program, Charley, so people get information from there. Charley Moskowitz of the Sibling Support Group at the Westchester, Mid-Westchester JCC. Thank you so much. You're the best at what you do, and you've really changed lives, Charley. Thank you so much. Next, on Autism Every Day, the financial cost of taking care of a child on the spectrum. It can be tremendous and it can be lifelong. What help is there for families and which way the wind is blowing when it comes to government programs and insurance coverage? And later, saddling up, riding horses as therapy, the benefit for not just the child with autism, but the entire family. We'll be right back.